Before we begin, just a really quick bio on me. I have been with Intuit for just a little over a year. Majority of my career has been in public education. I started off as a high school math teacher and ultimately became an assistant principal, a principal here in Southern California, and then worked at the district office at Los Angeles Unified and Glendale Unified, which is near where those fires you heard about in Altadena a few months ago. In Glendale Unified, my last role was Director of Innovation, Instruction, Assessment, and Accountability, which was basically a very long-winded way of saying I took care of all the district's data analysis, all their testing, a lot of teacher professional development, and I work closely with the California Department of Education to train teachers on how to use assessments effectively. Differentiation is my passion. I've written a couple of books on it, and so you're probably asking yourself, why are you here at Intuit? What made you decide to make this career transition? And for me, it was a very personal decision because we immigrated here back in the 80s and really struggled with finances. We came from poverty, and it was my job basically as a 10-year-old to figure out how credit, budgeting, savings, banking, all that stuff worked for my family. And so I learned all this information because of a necessity from a very young age. These courses didn't exist at that time. Financial literacy wasn't on everyone's radar, and I really could have benefited from this type of coursework. And this was, of course, pre-internet days, so you just had to ask around to get your answers. And now that I saw that there's an opportunity here to share these resources free of charge with students across the country, I took it on as a calling, the same way that I did when I became a high school math teacher. So that's my why. That's my reason for being here. And I'm so glad that you're here as well to learn a little bit more about this important topic. Financial literacy, as you know, is more critical than ever for our students. I hear all the time about different ways that they're being targeted and they need to be able to make financial decisions wisely. I think the latest thing I heard was they are now have access to pay off fast food with monthly installments. And so they need to kind of know what that entails as one example. And I'm really proud of that Utah is so far ahead compared to other states when it comes to providing financial literacy opportunities for students. It's something that we're hoping that every state reaches Utah's level of proficiency when it comes to this. Now I see that most folks don't have a computer, so I'm going to kind of do a quick pivot and go away from my Zoom links that I was going to share, since this looks like it's going to be more of an analog experience. I will say, though, if you have any questions, please stop me anytime. I can see you all, so hopefully I'll see a hand. But the one thing I'll ask is, based on the audio testing we did right before the session, please come up so I can hear your question, because if you're in the back, I may not be able to hear you very well. With that said, let's jump in and get started. All right, can I see a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Awesome. All right, so I will get into the budgeting section, but I want to get you just a quick crash course of what the overall program looks like, and then we'll drill down a little bit into budgeting. So our team for Outreach is just the two of us. I'm the Western Regional Manager, and then I have my counterpart on the East Coast. Between us, we have about 4 decades of experience in public education. I'm very proud of the fact that Intuit's doing this important work, reaching out to public schools and private schools to make sure that all students have access to these free resources. I shared a little bit about our why. I kind of jumped the gun here, but I really want to express that on a personal level. But as a team, we're doing this because, of course, we know that the knowledge that students are going to need around financial literacy is going to help them make more informed decisions and lead to better stability and less stress and higher quality of life. As financial literacy instructors, you already know that. And part of that, Intuit's commitment is to make sure that Gen Z and Alpha are the most financially literate generations yet. So we want to make sure that students really understand how finances work, especially as things are more complicated, and really can navigate that space, because regardless of what career they choose, they're not going to find that ultimate happiness if they are still struggling with their finances. So our agenda for today, a quick intro to what Intuit for Education looks like. I'll do a quick navigation of the curriculum so you kind of see how to explore it. If you have your computers, I'll give you an opportunity to create an account, and then we can talk about some next steps if you need additional support or if you'd like to bring this to your school district. We offer free professional development for teachers. We work with school districts to come and potentially work with students directly. If you have a CTE program, let's say you're doing a career fair, we can come during those opportunities. We're very, very passionate about this work. It's more than just check out this curriculum and best of luck. We always are looking for opportunities to partner with school districts. So Intuit, usually when I say Intuit, people say, is that the TurboTax company? Yes, it is the TurboTax company. So Intuit's most known for TurboTax and for QuickBooks. It's been around for 40 years, and it has a history of helping people achieve financial confidence and giving them the ability to take control of those finances. And as part of that, Intuit, about a year and a half ago, launched Intuit for Education, a free and flexible financial literacy program that uses real-world tools to help students become financially literate, capable, and confident. Now, even though we are new to the space, we partner with some of the names you probably have heard of: Next Generation Personal Finance, EverFi, Khan Academy. These are all our partners. You'll see some of their content on our site and some of our content on their site as well. We're kind of all working together to make sure that we get this to every student in the country. So, before we jump into the platform, I'm going to just take a couple of quick slides to talk about how the information is laid out. We really believe in the power of teachers. One thing that I'm very proud of being part of the Intuit team is how much they prioritize teacher autonomy and teacher expertise and really lean into that. And so part of that means we offered the curriculum in both a guided and self-paced format. That means that you have the option of going online, downloading the lesson plans, the slide decks, the templates, the worksheets, all that information, and then teaching the class directly yourself in a traditional classroom environment. Or you have the other option, self-paced, in which case you would assign the content to students. They will go online and they would watch the videos, answer the questions, do the activities, and then their results would then appear on your teacher dashboard. And of course, they have to check for understanding as part of each lesson to make sure that you can see how they're performing. I told you earlier, I'm a big fan of assessment and differentiation, using data to guide instruction. So if I were to go back in a classroom today, I would probably use a combination of both. I would probably assign the content to my students, and then while they're working, pull them in small groups, use the teacher guided materials to help support those students in small groups on the specific areas that they need. So you can mix and match. You don't have to pick one or the other. You can pick some lessons from one category, some from the others. And just to further that autonomy, when you do have assigned the self-paced lessons, you'll see that you have the choice of assigning either the entire lesson, or you can be choosy and pick very specific parts of the lesson that you will think your students really need to benefit from, and you can have that decision-making power as well. So we've got the lesson plans and educator resources, and then we'll talk a little bit about standards alignment as well. So some basics about the guided curriculum. You're going to see a sample lesson in a few moments. They're typically between 10 and 12 pages, so they're very comprehensive lesson plans. The slide decks are included. Everything is in a Google Doc or Google Slides or Google Sheet, so that if you are a Google district, it's very easy to just add it to your drive, edit it, customize it any way you see fit. On the self-paced side, it's student-directed. Students can work at their own pace. You can assign deadlines for the assignments if you like. It's asynchronous. They can do it on their own time. A lot of times we see school districts choose the guided curriculum for their traditional high schools, and the self-paced more for either online academies or continuation schools or places where they want students to catch up on content in a short amount of time. We also see some districts advocating for assigning a self-paced curriculum in summer school, also in advisory. We work with you to make playlists. So if you were to reach out to me afterwards and say, we have these 25-minute advisory periods 3 days a week. Can you create a playlist for me that'll allow me to basically go through all of the financial literacy lessons during that time? I can make that playlist for you. So for all you'd have to do is literally just click on the lesson of the day, and it would automatically go to your students. You can assign it to your students, but you already have the list. I can kind of keep track of how long the lessons are to make sure they can complete it in that time. So again, we'll work with you to make sure that this material is customized to your specific district's needs. And of course, we've got digital assets and assessments. You're going to see a variety of them in a few minutes as well. So teacher resources. I'm going to actually skip this one because I feel like I covered it. But once I jump in, you'll see that it is quite a variety of content that you can choose from if you want to be teaching the content yourself. And then for the student assets, they call them TikTok style videos. I'm not hip. I don't know what TikTok looks like, but I can tell you that the videos we have in here are very engaging. They've got graphics and they've got young people explaining the concepts to students. And they are very short and sweet. So they're not 5, 7, 10-minute videos. They're quick to kind of get students to get the concept and jump right in and make it as hands-on as possible. The worksheets, you'll be able to use those. You can edit them, as I said, once you get them into Google Drive. And then probably our most popular item, which I've kind of buried the lead here, are our real world simulations. So let's say students learn about taxes. You just spent the last few days talking about how taxes work. We actually have a simulation where students can go in and actually file taxes with dummy data, see what that experience is like. So if they want to understand what does a 1040 even look like, that's an opportunity to do that in our simulations. Among the most popular things we have, along with our games. So you'll see games on there as well. Some of them will be from Next Gen Personal Finance. Some of them will be our own games. But there are ways to sort of take several concepts that students have learned in the lessons and bring them together and give them a chance to apply them in a really fun way. So we'll jump into one of those as well. So last thing before we jump in, we are aligned to national standards. But of course, for you, most importantly, we are aligned to Utah standard as well. So I'll just give you a quick sense of what that looks like. We've got the Utah Personal Finance Standards, and you can see, for example, supply and demand. If you wanted to teach this concept to students, you can see which self-paced lesson or which guided lesson would apply. So as I scroll down, you can see some of them are higher ed, economics, but in this case, analyze the role of emotional, cultural, and social influences on financial behavior. For every one of these standards, we've got a lesson you can assign. And whether you want them to do it on their own with the self-paced, or whether you want to pull that lesson and teach it yourself using the guided lessons. So all of that work is done, ready to go, to make sure that you can spend the majority of your time teaching and not necessarily compiling all this information. I was going to do an answer garden activity kind of to get your feedback on which ones you're excited about. But since we don't have laptops, I'm going to actually just pause here for a second, stop talking, give you an opportunity to turn to your neighbor, and please just share with them from the quick 10-minute crash course you just got and some of the features we've got. What are you most excited about seeing and learning more about? So I'll take about 30 seconds. Go ahead. All right, hopefully you had a chance to share. I was going to ask you to share out with me, but because we tested the room volume and it was really difficult unless you come up, I'm going to just pause that. Hopefully we can kind of get one opportunity for that toward the end. Before I continue, what questions might you have on anything you heard so far? Anything that you want me to emphasize when I jump into the platform in a moment? Are there any questions before I actually jump in and show you what it looks like and get to the budget content? Okay, let's jump in. Just practicing my wait time. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the platform. I'll give you the link to get to the website toward the end, so you get a chance to explore yourself as well. So once you get into the platform, you'll be able to see personal finance, entrepreneurial. We also have entrepreneurial finance as well, and you can see the self-paced versions of both. So this version right here is going to give you the teacher-guided content, and the self-paced was going to be the ones that students do online. So let's say I want to go to personal finance. You can see the topics that we cover here. So we've got money mindsets, banking, budgeting, saving, credit, investing, career planning, paying for college, insurance, taxes, and economics. We will jump into the budgeting in a little more detail. So let's actually go on. Let's see, you want to teach one of the budgeting lessons. You can see we've got 6 lessons you can teach. Each one takes about an hour. Everything from basics of budgeting to creating a budget to making changes over time, and then to use the budget to actually make decisions. So let's say you want to start with the basics. Your students need to learn about budgeting. So when you go into one of the lessons, you'll see the learning objectives at the top. The national standards are listed here. Those Utah state standards I showed you are here on the left-hand side. And let's open up the lesson plan so you can see what the budgeting lesson plan will look like. So as it loads here, you can see that this one is one of the shorter ones. It's still 8 pages. So it covers everything from the standards. You can see the links here for any materials that you might need, both for you and for the students. And then from the bell ringer on down, the entire lesson is written out. So super detailed, super comprehensive lesson. And it'll kind of tell you which slides you want to be using for those as well. So this is just to introduce budgets, and you can see how long it gives you estimated timelines for how long things will take. You can give this to a substitute teacher if you're going to be out, and it's got enough details and hyperlinks to make sure that they have everything they need to teach this initial basics of budgeting lesson. Now, of course, you need a slide deck that comes along with it. So if I click on the slide deck, these were updated a few months ago. I think they look very, very fresh now. Big font, objectives are very clear. If there are any videos, the videos will be directly embedded into the lesson, into the slide deck itself. And then you can see with lots of visuals, it kind of walks you through the different piece by piece, the elements of a budget in this case. Again, another video, and then we'll talk about the budget calculator in a moment as well. So some of these resources like the cut calculator are built into the lessons, but you also have access to them as a standalone too. So I'll show you where you can find that. And of course, there's an exit ticket. And now, in addition to the lesson plan and the deck, you've also got various activities to help students really bring the learning to life. So all of this is available to you all in this one spot. And you can see they've actually linked the self-paced version of the content down here as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back to the beginning, just so you kind of get comfortable with that process, and go to the self-paced version of budgeting using the homepage. So first I was here. Now I'm going to go to self-paced personal finance. And here you can see the exact same topics as before. Let's go to budgeting again. And then let's go to, you can see the information is organized a little bit differently, but it is the same content. Let's go to building a budget. I'm going to pause this intro video for a second, so just so you kind of see what the layout looks like. So if they were to do the develop a budget strategy lesson, you can see we've got a couple of videos, we've got a quiz, we've got some reading, we've got a sorting activity, there's an open-ended writing response, and there is a quiz for essentially check for understanding, where the results will end up here on the left-hand side in the different periods that you create. So you can kind of keep track of students' progress along here. Every single one of these is going to have a different format. Some of them have the simulations directly built in. And then to assign this content, you can see here at the top, there's an assign lesson button. But as I said earlier, we want to make sure teachers have a lot of control over what they assign. So when you go here, you can either assign the entire lesson, or you can be choosy and select very specific activities within that lesson that you want your students to take advantage of. So with that said, let me take just about a minute and show you this video so you kind of get a sense of what the intros look like. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear the volume.
Maybe you were walking in a new town and got turned around. It's a pretty icky feeling. It can happen with your finances too. Building a budget is one of the best ways to get control of your finances. Think about it like this. Your financial goals are the destination, and your budget is the map to get there. Without a budget, you're likely to take a wrong turn and end up somewhere you didn't want to go. In this unit, you're going to develop a budgeting strategy, construct your own budget, and make adjustments to your budget as needed. Budgeting isn't just about managing your spending. It's about achieving your financial goals. And it isn't just a one-time exercise. To effectively manage your finances, a budget must be managed and adjusted regularly. The strategies in this course will have you maintaining a well-balanced budget in no time.
Awesome. Let's make sure that one doesn't start on its own. Okay. So for budget, you've got lessons on creating budgets on the self-paced side. You've also got, again, navigating changes and emergencies, and then spending and giving back. We think that's very important, making sure that you actually are using your budget to also, be helpful to the community as well. And of course, at the end, when you go through congratulations, you do that final quiz, and again, those results appear here. So a really good way for students to engage with the content, and you can see exactly how long it's going to take. We use this information to create those playlists. So again, if you're going to be planning out what your semester is going to look like, you can have all this information ready to go. So you can assign it in advance, and you can pick different due dates. So essentially, you could get it all sort of assigned at the beginning, and then the students will receive those assignments as on the dates that you set up. We also do integrate with LMS systems. The ones we have going right now are Canvas and Google Classroom. So if you use any of those, the students can be assigned the content through your LMS as well. And that's something that we can do if your district adopts this curriculum. So and that just it doesn't have any timeline or cost or anything like that at all. It's just a matter of the district saying, we give you, we want to integrate with you, and then we can connect our IT team to yours, make sure that you have that LMS integration as well, although it is not required. Let me pause here and see what questions you may have on anything you saw so far. All right, let's keep going. So in addition to the courses, I mentioned that we also have simulations, and I mentioned specifically the budget excuse me, but I take that back. The simulations are going to be for the taxes, but I will show you the budget one in a moment. So I said that when you are on the taxes unit, you can actually do a simulation where you walk through a tax return. And so if you go to preview simulation here, you'll actually get some information about like a sample student, and you can actually go through and start entering this information, see what federal taxes will look like, see what state taxes will look like, and you even get a chance to do a final review. And you can assign this simulation as well. So even though they are listed in the lessons, you can also just do a standalone. Now, you may have seen, in addition to the taxes here, we have several other simulations as well. We've got ones on reviewing a credit report, auto loans. Some of these up here are more related to the entrepreneurial finance course. You can see sales tax calculator. You're not going to do that on your personal finances, but if you're running a business, you need to be able to do that. Managing finances, controlling finances. These are other simulations, of course, that apply to a larger number of people. So these ones you can see are actually built into QuickBooks. And this is one where you're going to discuss the statement of cash flows. And so you can have some questions to sort of get built into the process, so students can kind of build their understanding as they're going through. So I'll just pick one real quick and go through. All right, there we go. And it'll bring you in, it'll give you the information to work off of, and then it'll ask you some questions and have you go through the simulation. So a great way to apply the learning from the lessons in these simulations. And in many cases, they'll bring together several different topics into one. And you can see they're sort of broken down here: accounting, credit, small business. So we've got the course content, we've got the simulations. The units are the units that are already in the courses. They're just broken out here for easy access. And then we've got the calculators. Calculators, again, one of our more popular items. And I had mentioned the budget calculator, so I'll jump into that one in just a moment and give you a little bit more detail of what to expect. So you can see here we have a wide variety of calculators that you have access to, everything from a simple loan to the auto loan calculator, which is one I use a lot because I help a lot of friends and colleagues buy cars. I'm a car guy, so I end up going to the auto loan one all the time as a way to sort of calculate how much things actually will cost. The inflation calculator is popular because it comes up in the news a lot, the topic of inflation. So that one just kind of speaks curiosity. Retirement calculator is probably more for us than it is for the students, but it's good for them to start planning ahead and getting a sense of for what that looks like. Of course, student loan calculator would be tremendously helpful, especially for juniors and seniors right around the fall when they're applying for financial aid for their upcoming school year. We know how expensive college can be. So the student loan calculator can help them in that process. And then we've got the budget calculator. So the budget calculator, very, very comprehensive. If I open up each of these, it's going to give you an opportunity to add a little bit more information on each one of them. Before students enter in their own information and get a chance to see what the budget calculator will do for them, if I scroll down past the initial calculator, you can see that we actually have some activities that will give students some dummy data to work with, so that they can experiment, see what that looks like. So gross annual figure, tax rate, all these expenses they can plug in and then see what, how that impacts their budget. And then we've got another one, two other ones down here that they can work off of. So in my case, if I want to come up here, say gross annual income, let's say, 75,000. My effective tax rate, 15%. I can put all the information that I want right here. Let's just do one more. In California, gas is definitely not $10 a month, that's for sure. If I calculate, why did I show up? Let's see. Check my effective. Oh, sorry, I got a little carried away there. Thank you for that. There we go. Appreciate that. So you can see the breakdown. And then, of course, the best part of the calculator is not just getting these numbers, but being able to make adjustments and seeing how your budget can be impacted. So if my salary goes up $10,000, I can see how that impacts it. So it's a great way for students to really fill in, get a really strong sense for how much they have to put aside in order to not only plan for retirement, which is very long term for students, but also just short term goals that they have. I mean, budget can be kind of part of your budget be targeted toward a trip you want to take this year. It could be for something, a car you want to buy 2 years from now. It could be for a home you want to buy 5 years from now. So a lot of times students don't think about this. And when we do presentations for students during, let's say, like a conference or a fair, and we actually talk about budget, some of the questions they ask tell me that they're genuinely interested in this topic. This does not feel like an academic topic to them where they might ask, how is this going to apply to me? As a math teacher, I got asked that question all the time, and I have to think about really thoughtful answers to make sure that students understand why this algebraic concept is going to be applicable for them. You don't have to do any of that. The students already sense the importance. They know how critical it is for their well-being and happiness, regardless of what career path they're going to do. And I can tell that from the questions that they ask. It really, honestly, is inspiring to see them being so engaged in the topic. Maybe they've just realized how expensive things have gotten, or I don't know how much context they have as teenagers. But it is clear that they know that they have to make a decent amount of money just to be able to buy some of the things that they want. Life has just gotten more expensive. So I think this is critical to help not only learn how much you have, but also to help you prioritize. In our family, we use the budget tool mostly to help us prioritize where we want to put our money. And when you see how much you've got to play with, and you kind of see that finite element, you really have it really forces you to think about what's important for you. And I think if the earlier that students learn about that, the more likely they're going to be to prioritize things that are important in their lives, and ultimately what's going to be helpful to those around them as well, their families, their future families. It's really, really critical. We all know that. So it's a great tool, and you can see it's got all kinds of places to customize the experience. And honestly, it also helps them think a lot about things that they may have not thought about. So they might, for example, for a car, they might just think that it's the car's monthly payment. They may not be factoring in how much car insurance costs. I know someone who always gets a car insurance quote before he buys a car because that's a factor he includes in his calculations. Public transportation for us isn't going to be particularly helpful here in Los Angeles. But of course, if you were in Boston, that's going to be a different amount. So also it's pretty universal in terms of its applicability for students. Questions on either the simulations or the calculators so far? Yes, so if I go back to the personal finance, let's go to the self-paced one for a moment. If I go to the budgeting lessons, One of these had the simulation built in. Let me see if it was this one. Um, the answer is yes. The simulations will pop up on some of these. I don't remember which one it was built in, but the simulations are there. So they're not they are available standalone, but they're also available in context as well. There it is. Simulate. So in the case of this part, creating a budget lesson, before they go into a simulation, they'll actually have an opportunity to get some information and then use the simulation to apply it. So yes, it is built in directly into the lessons as well. Thank you for asking. Other questions? Okay, let's go on to the last piece, which are the games. So some of the games you'll see they're from a variety of places. As I said, we partner with other organizations. So you'll see some say NGPF, Next Generation Personal Finance. We are proud to partner with them. They're one of the pioneers of this important work, and so that's one of their games. FinFutures is one that was just launched. This is largely for students who are going to be going to college, and it kind of helps them prep for how they're going to pay for that experience. And then the big one that we've got is Prosperity Quest. So if I go over here, you can see it pops up nice and big. Prosperity Quest, I think, is a fantastic game, largely because it combines so many of the different elements into one experience. So in Prosperity Quest, I'll go in just a moment, but just to give you an overview, you go walk around and you take on different jobs, and then you go home each day. And the goal of the game is to save $1,000 by the end of 9 rounds like this. So essentially 9 days of working. How are you going to save $1,000? When you go home, you have to decide how are you going to pay off your monthly expenses that month? Are you going to pay by cash? Are you going to put on a credit card? Where are you going to invest your money? How much of it are you going to put aside for savings? And so it's a great way for different students to maybe get into very small groups, go through the game, and then see what outcomes they get based on their decisions, and then have a conversation about those decisions. Why is it that I was able to only save $600, but my neighbor was able to save 750 or $800? What decisions did they make? Both on where they decided to invest their money, what type of risks they took, what was their strategy for saving. All of these things are factors that really helps them take the content from several different units and apply them in one place. And honestly, it's really fun along the way. Now, we offer an experience called the Hour of Finance Challenge every financial literacy month, which was back in April, where students actually play Prosperity Quest and as a school and have an opportunity to win prizes. So we had a national competition and a state competition, and a lot of 50 students won. 50 schools won for the statewide, and of course we had some national winners as well. Please zoom out. Is there something off with my browser? Let's see. There it goes. All right. So start a standalone game. Just going to pick a random person. Why are you not letting me do that? Bear with me one second. I'm not sure why I can't just continue. I'm missing a button. There we go. Okay, we can skip this. I just want you to get a chance to sort of see what the experience is like. In the beginning, it's going to ask a few questions. I'm just going to pick some answers just to kind of get through it. Hopefully in reality, it's actually much better than 1 out of 5. All right, so let's walk around. Let's get some income. So this right here is an opportunity to get some income. I'm going to get $200. And then I'll go over here and get the other 125. Cool. And then I'm going to go and exit the room. So now I have to make my decisions when I'm home. Now that I'm here, you can see I've got $325 in cash, and I have to make decisions on where that cash is going to go. So if I go here, here's my financial report. It's going to show my job. I did 2 jobs for $325. It's going to show my income taxes. You can see I've got nothing for savings at the moment. Fixed expenses, I've got about $192. And you can see the breakdown for what each of them are. So I have $225 that I owe. And I'm going to pay these expenses, and I can choose. Am I going to pay with cash? Am I going to pay with credit card? Let's just put it on the let's make it interesting. Let's put it on the credit card. And we're going to instead take that money and put it in a savings account. So here, if I go here, I can see I have no savings right now. I'm going to manage savings. I still have that $325. So I'm going to put, let's say, 100 of it in my savings account. And you can see I got a choice here on, or excuse me, it's going to show me what my rate of return is going to be. So it's 6%. And I can also choose some investments as well. So I can add a portfolio, choose high risk, low risk stocks. I can decide how much I want to put in there. You can see how much cash I've got left. Let's say I put $50 in here. So this is probably not the wisest way of going about it, right? If I'm going to pay 20% on that credit card, but I'm getting 6% on my savings, that's not going to be the way to be able to save the money. But you can see how these decisions are coming about. And then most importantly, more than the game, is the conversation that students can have as they play the game. Explain why you decide to pay with credit card. The why is most important. And hopefully that's going to help them get the money mindset about how to approach personal finance. And so if I go here to our lessons one more time, you can see that the first unit is money mindsets. I think this is a really important one because it's going to help students understand how they're going to manage their budget. Their budget shouldn't just be a bunch of numbers to them. They should have a theory, an approach. And the money mindsets unit will help them get that understanding, and that's what they can apply to the budget lessons. Let me stop here again and see what questions you have. Okay, so we had a chance to go through the teacher-guided lessons, the self-paced lessons for budgeting. We looked at the budget calculator, and then the Prosperity Quest game, which helps you determine how you're going to go about your setting up your budget. So again, if we had computers, I was going to give you an opportunity to jump in and actually make an account. I'll walk you through what that looks like. I should mention that a lot of this information you see on the website is ungated. That means you don't even need to make an account to access it. But making an account only takes like 30 seconds. It asks for the absolute bare minimum of information just to get started. And Intuit is really careful about making sure that that information doesn't go anywhere. So this is strictly just for you to be able to access the curriculum yourself. And if you want to be able to share it with your students, you can do that too. So I'm going to go back to the homepage, which is just intuit.com/education. If you want to grab that. Intuit.com/education. And you'll see here at the top, if I click on preview curriculum, it'll give you, like the name suggests, you can jump in and just explore the curriculum without necessarily having to make an account. Now, if you log in, you'll be able to get full access to everything. Now, notice here at the bottom, it says there's an educator option and an independent learner option. A lot of times when I share this information with teachers and so let's say if I'm at a student fair, parents who are there will say, I'm going to create an account for myself as well because I want to learn too. I need help with financial literacy as well. So this is evergreen content. It's not just designed for high school students. The only difference between the teacher experience and like a parent experience is that with a teacher experience, you can add a classroom, you can assign content, but in terms of accessing the content for your own learning, you can just go as a you can log in as an independent learner and be able to access all the content as well. So once I log in, the main things you need to know about navigation are you already saw the courses, the simulations, the calculators, and the games all on the homepage. If you ever navigate off the homepage, like if I go to entrepreneurial finance, for example, and I want to go back to the homepage, it is this explore button on the top left. Now you see here, there were a couple of other items too. So you can make classes here to assign content to. So, of course, if you have LMS integration, you don't even have to worry about that. But you can always go make a new class. I can call it period two, and then choose my semester once I'm actually in the, let's go summer. And then I can give this link to my students so that they can join that class as well. So that's another option you have here. You can see once the students are in, you actually be able to get student progress. You can see how they're performing, get their performance data. And then you can see here we have an educator community that you can join. So you can actually get feedback from like information, connect with other teachers who are teaching financial literacy. And then most importantly, we have this professional development link. So let's say you make the account and you want to learn a little bit more in detail about some of the things you saw today. If you go to professional development, in addition to the live trainings we do for districts, we also have these self-paced modules. So you can see we've got, I think it's 7 at this point, 6 of them at the moment. 6 self-paced modules, more are being added all the time. And they'll give you like a quick crash course. They're each 10 or 15 minutes on any of the portions of the website that you saw today. So for example, let's say you really want more information on the simulations. Can you help me navigate the simulations? You can go to this professional development item, and in 10 minutes, it'll walk you through the entire experience. So I'll give you the time to complete. Yeah. So as you can see, it will give you the basics. It's a great reference point if you just need a quick refresher on how to do any of the things you saw today. We've got one for the calculators. We've got one for just getting started with the 2 courses, and then just essentially how to navigate the site as well. So all this is available to you. You don't need to log in to access the professional development. You can just you can search for it on the Intuit site. It's this web address up here, which I can't share with you at the moment. But to get access to all of it is just intuit.com/education. Now, I was going to give you a chance to do like a scavenger hunt, but it looks like that's going to have to wait. One thing I did want to do though is give you another chance to turn to a neighbor and please share with them based on everything you saw. What additions, updates, what would you like to see on the site that you didn't see? As teachers of financial literacy, we always welcome your feedback. We'd love to know, is there anything you would love to see added to the website that would also help us make it an even better product for teachers? So take about 1 minute, please, turn to neighbor and just share what you saw and what ideas that it sparked about what else could be added. Would anyone like to share any of the ideas? No problem. And then lastly, I want to just put up my contact information. Let me put up the website again, so you have access. It's intuit.com/education. I know my last name is quite extensive, but if you can get that down, you can email me anytime. Those who I've worked with already know I'm very responsive. If you send me a message, almost certainly you'll hear back the same day. I'll make sure that you have everything you need to be successful. If you need a quick reminder tip on how to remember the last name, it's kind of like the Mickey Mouse song. So if you actually read it out, it comes out just like the song. That's my little trick. So and my first name is pronounced Stepan, like you're stepping on something. You've got my cell phone. And please reach out. We're looking forward to partnering with you. If it's something that you'd like to bring to your district, just please connect me to whoever in your district office would be the lead, whether it's in social studies or the CT department. Everything we have is completely free. And even if you have something in place, we're more than happy to supplement, to create playlists for your specific needs. We want to partner with you in this personal finance work. So thank you so much for coming. I'll be here in case you have any questions if you want to come up. But otherwise, just have a wonderful rest of your day and keep doing what you're doing and serving our students. It's just always a pleasure to people working with teachers. So thank you so much.